take it one game at a time.
One game.
Now, come on, let's go now. Defense!
I'm sure all of you in here know how important that his father was to him. So if you guys can say a prayer for him, because it's going to be a hard struggle.
Yeah, we got to take the last shot.
Baseline pass to Vinnie Johnson with 3. Vinnie puts up a 14-footer.
Willed and worked the Pistons to the mountaintop. Here is your captain, Isaiah Thomas.
You know, in life, sometimes you have a goal. And sometimes it takes 8 years, sometimes it takes 9 years, sometimes it takes 30 years for you to reach that goal. But you can use our basketball team as some type of semblance because we've struggled for 30, 31 years trying to win an NBA championship, so dreams do come true.
The dream began in Fort Wayne, Indiana, where star forward George Yardley lent marquee value to this small manufacturing town.
The owner of the team, Fred Zollner, made his money manufacturing pistons for General Motors, and so it was a logical progression that they would be known as the Pistons.
Reaching the finals twice in the mid-50s, the Pistons not only found success in Indiana, but also a devoted following.
We were big in Fort Wayne. Everybody in Fort Wayne held us up as heroes.
In 1957, Zollner took his business and his team to the Motor City. But though they would eventually find a new hero in Dave Bing, the Pistons could not seem to recapture their winning ways.
The frustration is when you don't win. You know, every April, I'm home sitting watching the playoffs, and that's no fun at all because I know in my heart I'm better than most of the guys that are out there playing.
Even the addition of franchise center Bob Lanier in 1970 could not save the Pistons from languishing in mediocrity. And despite his valiant efforts, Detroit's frustration continued to grow. Resorting to a series of ill-fated coaching changes, the Pistons hit rock bottom in 1979. It was apparent that a drastic change was needed.
I feel I played a little part in the success of the Pistons, a little part. As I told Bill Davidson when he fired me, I said, Bill, you have to get leadership in the front office. You have to have somebody there that has a tremendous basketball background to make the everyday basketball decisions.
Of the world champion Detroit Pistons, he put this team together. General Manager Jack McCloskey.
You know, when I arrived there, it wasn't too good. 16 wins is not a very credible record. You know, we sat down, we talked, and we felt, okay, this is an expansion team. We've got to start clean house right from the beginning. And we got back in the draft and started to get things going.
In the 1981 draft, McCloskey would find the cornerstone around which he would construct his master plan.
When Isaiah became available, you know, I felt this was a very, very special kind of player.
Isaiah, by Lever and Valentine, still has the dribble right side. Way down to the floor. Hugs in the lane. Got it!
Little guy, big heart, great leadership. The things that he had inside him, you know, aren't usually abundant in this league or in any profession.
Drafting Kelly Tripucka and trading for Bill Laimbeer and Vinnie Johnson in that same year, McCloskey began to dramatically reshape the Pistons.
I had some young players and some veteran players, and everybody had the same goal, and that was to get better, and we did.
With their young nucleus in place, the Pistons did improve, but they were still in need of a guiding force. Somebody's got to coach him, and coach him he did. The winningest coach in franchise history, Chuck Daly.
Coaching in the NBA is a little bit like flying an airplane. You got to get it off the ground. You got to fly it through a lot of turbulence, a lot of miles, but you got to land the plane. Landing is getting into the playoffs and going as far as you can go.
With Daly at the helm, Detroit made it back to the playoffs for the first time in 7 years.
King went for the steal. Isaiah, three-point attempt. He's got it.
But their postseason performances were marked more by individual achievement
Vinnie Johnson again
than by team success.
Just one of the most incredible shots you'll ever see in a pressure situation.
Yeah, you would have some good moments in terms of yourself individually, but when you're looking at the total picture, you understand that you're just running your head against the wall. We had a good record, and everybody was telling us that you're going to get there, you're going to get there. But the personnel that we had, there was no way that we could challenge for a championship.
After 3 early playoff exits, the Pistons would make a critical change in their philosophy.
You replace Tripucka and Benson with Datley, Sally, Rodman, and Mahorn. Then you got Dumars. Then your team takes off.
With these new faces came a new style of Piston basketball, one dedicated to defense.
It was a run-and-gun affair my first year, but we've evolved into a good defensive team. It wasn't always here.
Unified by their devotion to defense, this newly cohesive Piston team was now ready to climb to the next level.
One of our main objectives was we've got to catch the Celtics.
In 1987, they would have the chance as they met the defending champion Celtics in the conference finals. But though they would give Boston all they could handle, battling them to a standstill for 7 physical games, Detroit ultimately found that they still had a few lessons to learn about the often treacherous postseason.
Now there's a steal by Bird. Underneath the DJ, lays it in. What a play by Bird.
The pass by Isaiah, and then the event with 2 players going down on one play, Vinnie Johnson and Adrian Dantley. Those kind of things, which are adverse situations, you must learn how to get over the adversity, how to handle it. That's what helps you develop in terms of a championship-type team.
We had some great games with Boston, but we could never get over that hump. We could never, beat Boston at that time. But we hung in there. We didn't give up.
As the 1988 season began, a more mature Piston team was ready to put their experience to use.
I think that we learned a lot in the first year I was here. We learned to keep our composure, to play under control. We was trying to make a statement that we was going to be the next team in this conference to make it.
They would make that statement loud and clear. Gaining a reputation as basketball's bad boys, Detroit was determined to show that they were the team to be reckoned with in the East. With new addition James Edwards bolstering their bench, the Pistons would defeat the Celtics and make their first trip to the finals. But though they extended LA to 7 tough games, the defending champion Lakers would teach them one final lesson.
You must learn how long you have to play. The first time you do it, you're just begging for it to be over. After the first time, then you understand the process, and you can more or less program your mind. Yeah, we're going to go to the finals, and we'll be playing in June.
1989 would bring the acquisition of high-scoring forward Mark Aguirre and a second straight berth in the finals. This time, however, their postseason education was over. The playoff-hardened Pistons would sweep the Lakers to gain the franchise's first championship. Their evolution was finally complete.
There have been a few of us around for so long that have basically shaped the style and character of our ball club, and I happen to be part of it. Makes me very proud.
This one is for the fans of Detroit.
ring ceremony marked not only the final celebration of 1989's triumph, but also the beginning of a new challenge.
Every year, when you open a season, it doesn't matter how many guys you got back. It's a whole new ball game. The baby's born on your opening game, so we won't have an easy road, but maybe it'll be kind of fun.
As they opened the season as world champions for the first time, the Pistons faced some immediate adjustments.
The loss of Mahorn was gigantic. Mahorn was such a strong personality, such a strong leader, presence on the court and the locker room, in visiting arenas, that taking him out of the picture was a gigantic adjustment, like losing a strong family member.
And though the season's first big test, a trip to the Forum, proved that this Piston team could be just as dominating as the previous years as they shut out the Lakers in overtime and defeated them on their home floor.
And I don't believe it, but the Lakers have not scored. And the defending world
The true test of this season would come less from the big games than from all the little ones, as assailants seemed to stalk the Pistons from every side, all emotionally charged to upset the defending champions. This season, there would be no nights off, as everyone seemed to save their best for Detroit.
It's sort of like playing 82 playoff games, you know. It's a situation where they just want to beat you once.
The Miami Heat, safe to say, the biggest win in their history.
We had to step up our offense and defensive intensity at the beginning of the season because a lot of teams were beating us that shouldn't have.
Off to an 8-8 start, the Pistons lost to bad teams as often as they beat good ones.
Detroit is a schizophrenic group, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
When you're the favorite, everybody's always looking at what's wrong with your team. Something's wrong. You're not playing as hard as you did last year. You're not doing what you did last year. You're not as hungry. You're not as this. You're not as that. You're not as this.
Losing decisively to the Lakers at the Palace in late January, the Pistons knew that something had to change.
We felt that we were not to where we wanted to be as a team. I think we had too many scorers and too many post-up players in the starting unit.
Enter Dennis Rodman into the starting lineup.
I think we needed some defense, some more rebounding, and bringing people off the bench so we got a stronger bench.
With Rodman igniting their defense, the Pistons returned to doing what they do best, shutting down opponents. And with McGuire providing scoring off the bench, they would tear through the league, winning a phenomenal 25 of their next 26 games as they devastated all opposition and enjoyed doing it.
They don't have a chance. That's the bottom line. You walk out, feel like they won't win.
Do it, Detroit. Keep the crowd roaring. From New York, Chicago to Portland. Pump it up because this jam for you. Show the world what the real bad boys can do. We swept the Lakers in 4. Now we're back to take the title once more. Cause we're bad, not meaning bad, but good. Hammer time, so let's make it understood. You're gonna get deep, victory is sweet. The score don't lie, and the rest don't cheat. We're the Pistons, yeah, we love comp. Bring on the best and watch them get stomped by the world champions. #1 in Detroit, we get the job done with a slam dunk. We play to win, and after this year, we're gonna do it again.
It felt like we were going to win, and we really knew we had an ace in the hole, and that was our defense.
Out of the lane against Lane Beard. Turned, ball swatted away. Price has his pocket picked by Isaiah.
Looking inside for the longest step in front of steal by Sally.
The Pistons are feeling it as they're doing it the old-fashioned way.
Pump it up, bad boy, bad boy.
We would walk out on the floor, and no matter who we were playing, no matter what the circumstances would be, we knew we were going to win the basketball game.
Jump ball, the tip to Isaiah. Superstar up the ball, all-around player. Fake the pass, give it to Gas. Finger roll, counter for 2. How does he do it? Only God knows. Benny Johnson, the microwave. Heats up the chain, you burn you for days. Lamb beer with a money-back guarantee. A killer in the paint, hit man for 3. The spider, the glider, sound for the slam. Stop him with the shot clock, knock it to the next man. Do more, dropping the bomb. Star Wars, a 3-pointer long. A wide on fire.
impossible. Nobody could beat us. We had a certain air about ourselves that if we went out and everybody played to their fullest, nobody could beat us.
The Pistons are smoking now.
The Pistons have turned it up a notch. Well, what a play!
As the season wore on and the euphoria of the streak began to fade, the Pistons found that the daily grind of defending their title had taken its toll, leaving them battered both in spirit and in body.
There are a lot of games you hardly know you went through the game because there's so many that come so often and there's so much fatigue.
It was a tough year, you know, physically and mentally. But still, we had one goal in mind, that's to win a championship.
As playoff time finally drew near, the Pistons prepared to patch themselves up and ignore the pain. They knew well what was to come, and battle scars notwithstanding, they were focused and ready.
We gonna go out there and say, hey, break a leg, go break a damn leg, by God, and go out there and try to get that series.
Like the regular season, the Pistons knew that the playoffs would be a grueling battle of attrition. A legion of hungry challengers awaited them. For in this postseason chase, the Pistons would be the hunted, not the hunter. Their first test would come from the brash, young Indiana Pacers and an old ally.
Remember this now. You must do something about this rebounding. You know, I was thinking today of all the teams in the league.
I think that he made it very difficult for us because he knew more about our personnel.
There's usually one guy that gets it. Bill Laimbeer would get every rebound in that area.
You can know our team, you can know what each individual does, but as long as that individual or your team executes to perfection, you can't stop it.
All right, and I don't care, you know, I got faith in you, man, so just come on and do it now. Let's go. Let's go. Come on, let's go.
But despite the Pacers' grand scheme,
no easy field goals. Make it tough. Make it tough. No easy field goals.
the Pistons would simply overwhelm them, blowing them out in games 1 and 2. Although the scenery changed for Game 3, the results did not, as Isaiah Thomas controlled the tempo, and the Pistons controlled the scoreboard, completing their series sweep in Indiana.
We believe in percentages and fundamentals, and if we go out, like I said, we do A, B, C, and D, we're going to win, period.
Round 2 posed an obstacle of immense proportions in New York's Patrick Ewing.
Patrick is a very great local center, and you know, I want to go in there and do whatever I can, you know. So if I'm putting pressure on him at the offensive end, he'll wear out during the course of the game.
Fearlessly, Edwards took the game to the Knicks center.
Do the same thing. Go to Joe's side, though. Dribble Joe down.
With Ewing otherwise occupied, New York's defensive interior was exposed as the Pistons destroyed the disoriented Knicks by 35 points in Game 1. The strategy in Game 2 was identical as Detroit continued to go right at Ewing. And with Edwards amassing a career playoff high 32 points, Detroit had another victory. But as the series moved to New York, the city's most imposing skyscraper would cast his shadow on the Pistons, scoring 45 points on his home court.
Stand around, one leg, get inside, get inside.
With Ewing controlling both ends of the court, the Knicks pulled out a Game 3 victory and thought they were on the way back into the series. Detroit knew otherwise.
We thought we can win it 4-0, you know. But New York had a little fight in them, and all we had to do was just make the kill.
Turning up their defensive intensity in Game 4, Detroit surrounded Ewing and contained him.
3 seconds!
Decisively winning Game 4, Detroit effortlessly shifted into high gear. And back in Detroit, handily closed out the series in 5 games. Once again, the Pistons had demonstrated the ability to adapt to each new challenge and to conquer it. The Knicks series had become a celebration of Piston intensity. And appropriately, it would also provide the forum for honoring the player who most embodies this spirit. Master-Lock Defensive Player of the Year, Dennis Rodman.
Dennis Rodman's big thing is, I don't need any help. Let me just handle them by myself. And that's the pride he has in defense.
For Rodman, his dedication had been well worth it.
I'd like to thank...
Set yourself out to accomplish a goal, and all of a sudden you achieve it, no matter what it is, I promised myself I wouldn't break down if I were to avoid, but it hit me, and it was a great feeling for me.
I wanted this one so bad.
But awaiting Rodman and his teammates in the conference finals was the ultimate challenge to their defensive mastery. For containing Michael Jordan would require a special approach.
The Jordan rule. Michael Jordan is, Michael Jordan that. I don't hate the guy, nothing like that. I just got sick and tired of hearing that guy.
Rule number 1, bring reinforcements.
We're going to use the Jordan rules, also the Michigan National Guard, and...
Rule number 2, nothing is sacred.
Talk about different things that he doesn't like to talk about, like baldness. Sorry.
I got number 3.
Rule number 3, give nothing away.
The Jordan rules. Is that something you guys made up?
Jordan rule? No, I don't know what that is. None of your business.
But as the series' first confrontation approached, one Jordan rule would move to the forefront.
Get him!
The battle cry had been sounded, and no prisoners would be taken. As the airways were clogged with Pistons, who hounded Jordan's every move and punished Chicago on both ends of the floor. Everything was falling for the Pistons, including Jordan, as Detroit steamrolled Chicago in games 1 and 2. But everyone knew that Jordan, though hobbled, would have to be reckoned with on his home turf.
Now he's got 3-4 days to get ready, so we're going to be looking at basically a healthy Jordan come Saturday.
Invoking his own set of rules in Chicago, a rejuvenated Jordan shredded the Pistons for 89 points in games 3 and 4, single-handedly tying the series at 2.
Great game by Michael Jordan again. Jordan rules tonight instead of the rules are against Jordan.
The Bulls strode confidently into Auburn Hills for Game 5, looking to steal the crucial home court advantage.
Work all season for this guy. Let's play hard. Leave it all on the floor. Let's go.
But Detroit had a plan of their own, and they wasted little time in implementing it. As both teams executed flawlessly in the first half.
Easy shot, 4 points. We're up 4.
although the Bulls were off and running in the third quarter, the game would belong to the Pistons as their defense smothered Chicago and their offense wore them down, bringing them one victory away from a finals berth. Facing elimination, Jordan and his Bulls would once again break loose back in Chicago. But as Detroit looked towards the decisive seventh game, they found solace in knowing that it would be played in their domain.
That's why we mentally and physically tortured ourselves for 82 games. We wanted to be in our own building.
Fittingly, their season would now hinge on their shared philosophy of team defense.
I think we're very fortunate that we have guys in the team that don't consider defense a chore but like to play defense.
Defense is an interesting phrase. I think guys, once you sell them on it, it's a macho way to go. But it doesn't entail me playing you necessarily. It's our five playing you.
To know that you can count on guys behind you when you get beat. It sends you out there with a lot of confidence on defense to play guys really tough because you always know you got the help.
We're not selfish. You can't be selfish as a defensive player, and you have to have more discipline as a defensive player than you do as an offensive player.
Pitting their collective strength against Chicago's Superman, Detroit stood firm in their beliefs.
The club was very confident, and I drew from them a certain amount of confidence. And you get to a point where you say, hey, it's down to a one-game series. Let's best team win.
The winner of this game plays Portland for the NBA title.
Let's go. Let's go. Gotta get up and go. Hey, you're not gonna win it offensively. I gotta have the defense.
Michael, you're not doing it today. You ain't gonna do it today.
You shut people down, you get fast breaks.
With Sally anchoring their defense, the Pistons corralled the Bulls and then ran past them.
And if you can control the tempo, and if you can control the style, then your team's gonna win.
As they dominated at both ends of the floor, it was clear that the Pistons were playing their brand of basketball.
Get a stop, White!
The Bulls' attempt at storming the Palace would be smashed. And the rout was on as Detroit convincingly showed their supremacy, earning their third consecutive conference championship and making a bold statement as they moved on to the finals.
The Pistons return to the NBA Finals for the third straight time.
This baby's developed pretty nicely over the 9-month period in that we are in the finals, vying for another championship.
They got to beat us, and they got to beat us soundly. We're not going to give up, even if we're down. 20 points, we still plug away. We always fight our way back into the game, and we never quit.
If we win this championship this year, no question in my mind, it compares to there's only other two teams that have done that, and that's the Lakers and the Celtics, so they would have to put us up there in that class.
I would definitely rank us as one of the better defensive teams that's ever played.
Whenever we take the floor, we always feel we're gonna win, no matter what.
I saw a light at the end of the tunnel. They didn't tell me it was a train. But I said I saw a light at the end of the tunnel, and it was a reflection of my ring.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the excitement of the 1990 NBA Finals.
An unbelievable matchup. The Detroit Pistons, with all their experience,
Going against the best in the West, the upstarts, the Portland Trail Blazers.
a team nobody ever believed to be here. Find out who these Blazers are. Get the program here.
While Portland may have entered the series as the surprise challengers, as the game began, Detroit was quickly treated to a rude introduction.
Keep taking it, baby!
As the pumped-up Trailblazers were relentless in their attack.
To Porter, pass, Drexler, up, in, scored a goal. He is fouled. The Pistons can't stop Portland at this point.
the frustrated Pistons found themselves back on their heels as the emotion-charged Blazers trampled them. Portland's message was clear. They would show the defending champions no respect. Detroit needed desperately to regroup.
With defense, like we always do it. Come on, let's go. Let's get embarrassed in our own building. Let's go.
In need of help, they would reach for the one thing that wouldn't fail them.
Hutchinson spins around Johnson, puts up a shot, batted out of bounds by John Sally.
Contesting every Portland possession, the Pistons began to show signs of life.
Dumars for the Pistons. Dumars to Sally. Sally drives left side past the Lambier. Lays it up and in! Here they come, baby!
But Portland would not easily yield the momentum, despite even the most spectacular of Detroit's efforts.
Isaiah long pass to Sally, maybe too long. Sally saves it from going out to Dumars.
With 7 minutes remaining, the determined Trailblazers would push their lead to 10.
Takes down, shoots, strips. Semi, all right.
Lot of time. We don't have to panic. Work. Easy does it.
Don't be tentative with the way you play offensively. Be very aggressive with it. Smart.
Listen, they don't execute great in this situation. They'll throw up a wild shot if you play good defense through the clock. Just don't give up an easy one early on the clock.
The Pistons would now have to rely on their experience, their heart, and their leader.
Looking for the foul, throws up a wild shot.
How many times have we seen Isaiah? He presses the inner button in the heart, and all of a sudden he just takes it on.
With the game and Detroit's home court advantage hanging in the balance, Isaiah Thomas simply refused to let the Pistons lose.
If you read Porter's eyes, Zeke feels he can take him any place that he wants to go.
And Porter again staring each other down on that left point. Isaiah over Porter. Give it away!
He's awesome, baby. He's awesome.
A three-point shot by Isaiah, who pumps his right fist into the air.
That is literally carrying a team on his back.
Isaiah played one of those magic 10 minutes where he was on fire and really bailed us out because we were struggling in every direction.
You know, it just all comes together. And those are the moments that you practice and you work hard for. It's beautiful.
After Game 1's narrow escape, the Pistons had seemingly learned their lesson.
They are going to respond big time in the second game. You know, you're looking at a 6 or 7 game series. The 2 game is crucial. Got to win the 2 games. I don't think we can depend on a heroic performance again tomorrow night. We got to get more people involved to make shots. We had everybody look dead tired.
Heeding Daly's advice, the Pistons would quickly seize the initiative.
Right wing, though, to Dumars against Drexler. Back deep on the left to Isaiah. Setting up, trying for 3. It's through! Isaiah with another triple.
But it was still apparent that Detroit had not found a way to slow Portland's aerial assault.
What a...
With their defense a step slow.
One is on number 10. Why can't you see that? I can see that. Be patient.
Detroit would be forced to rely on their offense.
Wear him down. It's 48 minutes.
Thomas going up against Porter with a runner. What a great shot. They lost sight of Dumars. Lane Beer with another 3.
But though the Pistons matched the Blazers shot for shot, it was clear that they were playing Portland's game.
Fires away, and he hits a 3 to tie it up. A shootout going on here.
While the Pistons had burned the Blazers, they had not shaken them. And with the score tied, it was time for strategy and one last shot.
Billy, lob it over. We're not shooting until the final second. If I make it, we win. If I miss it, we going into overtime. I ain't giving them a chance to shoot it again.
McGuire gets it into Lambier. Lambier is double teamed to Isaiah with 6 seconds. Isaiah with 5, 4, 3. Isaiah with 2. Isaiah with 1. It's going to be short, and we're going to go to overtime.
As Daly had foreseen, this would not be a night for Piston last-minute heroics.
Let's go. 5 minutes. Hard work. Normal tap. Normal tap. I think John's going to get it. Let's go. Let's go now. We got to go. Come on. Let's go. 5 minutes. Try to start the game. Let's go.
As they had at the game's beginning, the Pistons would again make an early run.
James Edwards puts the Pistons in front.
As Bill Lambier drilled 6 3-pointers to tie a finals record.
Pistons by 1. Lambier wants another 3. He's got it. 5 in the game for Bill Lambier. And a timeout called by Portland.
But with Isaiah fouling out, Detroit was unable to put Portland away.
Eyes it up.
And with Buck Williams' last-minute free throws, the Pistons suddenly trailed by 2.
Joe, you're coming hard to the ball. They got to foul to give. Billy, you come to the ball. They got to foul to give. Try to get loose. Try to get loose. Spot up. Spot up. Try to get loose.
Clock running down. Lambier fires it back and hits with 4 seconds to play.
Mike comes off and gets it. Jerome, no. Terry is going to give it to Clyde. Let him get through. Face him up and bust his ass to the basket. Take it right to him.
Drexler guarded by Ryman and a foul.
1+.
And Detroit calls a timeout, trailing by 1.
1 and 2. Split. Joe split hard. 2 split hard. 5 on that 1 and deep. Direct pass to 5. Got it? They got a foul to give. Catch it and go for the shot. Got it? As soon as somebody touches it, you foul him. You switch everything and you foul him. Foul! Oh, my goodness! Joe coming the ball. Vinny, you're going here, all right? Now, screen down. But they're go going to deep, have all James. these. Go deep. Set the screen. You come to here, but lob the ball again into them. They'll foul you. They'll foul you. Okay.
1.5 seconds. Here it goes. Edwards goes up with it. And the game is over. No foul. The game is over, and Portland has won. And for the first time in the playoffs, the Detroit Pistons have lost at the Palace, and it snaps their 14-game winning streak.
All we need is 1, baby. You got it. Home sweet home, baby. Finish this baby at the crib. Finish this baby at the crib.
You turn them back tomorrow, and I tell you, there's a tremendous doubt in their mind what's going on. That's why we got to come ready. Tomorrow, we're going to take that game and control this series.
Well, we've got to get it back to our building somehow. Maybe a little bit difficult, though.
They're coming into our place, and just like everybody talked about their dominance at their place, 10-0 or whatever it was, well, I don't care what the score is here. We're 9-0, and our fans are going to be ready to go. Blazers.
We like to take adversity head on, and that's what we do best.
Right now at home, haven't lost here to Detroit since 1974, coming in on a high, Rodman not playing. What would you think the logical choice would be? The logical choice would have to be Portland.
From Portland's Memorial Coliseum, where the Pistons haven't won since October the 19th, 1974, in the second game of Bill Walton's career.
I think the Pistons today have arrived at a crisis point in their bid to repeat as champions. Every team reaches a crossroads, and today is the crossroads.
We wasn't gonna lose. No.
Let's go, Pistons!
Dumars in the paint for Detroit, puts it up off the glass and through.
If Portland believed they had broken Detroit's resolve, then they were badly mistaken.
Detroit to Aguirre. Aguirre gets around Williams. Off the glass.
What a
Nice move move by Mark Aguirre.
As expected, the Blazers would attack with emotion.
Lambier Lacey with a rebound, taken off by Drexler. Thirsty for the dunk.
They're so fired up, they're going to get every second shot. That'll wear off.
Play through the emotion. Play through the emotion. Play through it.
The Pistons would counter with execution.
Take him off the dribble, Sarah, every time.
Dumars right wing, Percy's on him. He'll drive him inside, flip it up and in, off the window.
Rebound, rebound, rebound. Keep working, keep working, keep working.
Yeah, vote up. Putting in some boards today.
But the Pistons' perfect execution was only part of Portland's problem, as they found themselves being outplayed and outfoxed, frustrating the Blazers.
Still, Jake, he backs up and moves all over. Let's go, don't body him up now, let's go.
And taking them out of their game.
I think Duckworth's too concerned about Bill Lambier's presence on the floor.
Bill Lambier seemed to be everywhere.
You've got to play within yourself. Don't get caught up with officials or Lambier or anybody else. Come on, we need a squirt here. We got to defend them. Let's go. We got to get back and defend them. We got to get good shots out of here.
With the game more than half over and Detroit pushing their lead to double figures, Portland saw their homecoming turning into a nightmare. They responded with desperate intensity.
On the break, down the lane, looking to lean, and scoop, he does, he scores, he's fouled.
But Detroit was unshakable.
Vinnie Johnson, he puts it up and in. Vinnie is hot now.
And with Vinnie Johnson getting untracked, and Joe Dumars turning in his best performance of the playoffs, the Pistons laid to rest any doubts that they would retake control of the series.
Boy, Pistons must have made up their mind. We are going to go to Portland to reestablish ourselves and win our...
Or that their championship magic was back.
Loose, picked up by Dumars with two. Dumars with one on the shot clock. Up and through.
Dumars beats the clock.
24 games since we won here.
17 years, 20 games.
17 years, 20 games. We just broke the streak.
But they would have little time to savor their victory.
I know a lot of you probably expecting to see Joe, but you know, his father passed away this afternoon and he didn't know anything about it. And you know, he made one shot today going down the lane. The shot clock was running down and he threw it real high in the air and it went in. And we kind of looked at each other and smiled. And I said to myself, your dad threw that one in. So if you guys can say a prayer for him or whatever faith or religion you are, just wish him good luck because it's going to be a hard struggle.
What a tough mental situation it has to be for Joe Dumars, Fred. I mean, he's so high after the brilliant game on Sunday and then learns about the death of his dad. But they say his dad would want him to play, and that's what he's doing.
Though Dumars' loss weighed heavily on the Pistons' minds, they were still very much focused on the task at hand.
This is a desperate game for the Trailblazers. They don't want to fall behind 3-1.
When it's up, don't steal. It's got to go hot.
With their backs to the wall, the Blazers were holding nothing back. Treating every possession as if it were their last, they played with reckless abandon. But the Pistons were conceding nothing. They would answer with the one weapon in their reserve that Portland seemed unable to counter.
Curls around the left wing, comes back foul line, sends it and scores it. He can feel it again tonight.
The microwave is on fire.
But if Vinnie Johnson burned Portland, then Joe Dumars demoralized them.
Joe will stop and pop from the wing over Porter. Yes!
Exasperating Portland, first with finesse and then with force. Detroit was playing vintage Piston basketball. They had taken everything Portland had to offer.
We've got blood now coming out of Buck Williams' eye.
And still emerged unscathed.
Now on the right way.
2 seconds left. He'll step back and gun it goes. And at the half, it's the Pistons by 5, 51-46.
As the second half began, Portland tried valiantly to rally.
If that doesn't get the Blazers going, nothing will.
But the third quarter would belong to Isaiah.
Wire back to Isaiah. Long jumper by Isaiah. Good three-pointer for Isaiah Thomas. Vinny to Isaiah. Isaiah shoots over Porter. Straight away. Three-pointer. Top of the arch. Good.
Scoring a phenomenal 21 points in the period.
Makes again. He owns the night.
Isaiah would again show that he ranks among the greatest clutch performers in playoff history.
4 triples in the third. It's 81-65.
But Portland wasn't finished yet. Taking a page from the Pistons playbook, they would claw their way back into the game with defense.
Drexler drive. Slam by Robinson.
Here comes the Blazers.
That's Porter with the basketball to the baseline. Fadeaway jumper.
There it is. They take the lead. 16 down.
But the Pistons had worked too hard to reclaim control of the series to let it slip away.
Thomas kisses it off the glass.
They would not allow a repeat of Game 2.
Isaiah fakes a shot. Now he'll go for the long jumper. Good to give the Detroit Pistons a 1-point edge.
This time they would finish the Blazers.
One rebound away, one stop away. This is what it's all about. One possession now. Watch him pull it up with a quick shot on it.
Pick and roll. Picked up by Edwards. Nothing there. Porter penetrates. Knocked away by Isaiah Thomas. And he's fouled by Danny Young. McGuire will inbound. Everyone on his feet. Here's the pressure. Don't let your man beat you long. Thomas there it is. Across to Edwards. Here's to Henderson. Gerald Henderson lays it in. 1 second to go. Young fires a three. It goes. Doesn't count. Mike Matheson's going to the scorer's table. It doesn't count. It doesn't count.
Rick Adelman is livid.
But on the verge of a second championship, Chuck Daly remained typically cool.
Well, probably ruined another suit. You know, thank God they're not too expensive.
Maybe in 10 years from now, we'll look back and say, well, we were one of the best teams in history, or we changed the style of how the NBA is to be played. That remains to be seen. But when our team gets together for a sole purpose in mind, which is to win a certain basketball game, we're very good at it.
Got a ring in our championship trophy. You can't touch it. Stays in our trophy case. Can't touch this.
The businesslike Pistons quickly got to work.
Isaiah on the run with a basketball. Isaiah looking left, but he takes it into the paint, puts it off the glass and through. Good move by Isaiah. Looking left side to Isaiah. 18-footer up and in. Isaiah, long jumper. Good for Isaiah.
Pouring in 15 first-quarter points, Isaiah led the Pistons' offensive assault.
I want to talk to you and I want to talk to Duncan. Step it clear.
While Lambier led the psychological one.
Both of you. This is the only matchup problem we got right now. Stop it. I don't want to hear no words. Stop it.
He frustrates people. He frustrates people because he's good.
He's got an attitude. He can be nasty. He can be tough.
Come on, down!
You need somebody to go in and to do the dirty work.
While Lambier punished Portland in the trenches, Drexler took to the air to get the Trailblazers back in the game.
Drexler on the fly, going to challenge Edwards, and he goes. He scores! The game is tied.
But as the relentless Pistons built the lead back to 4 at the half,
And score!
the Trailblazers had to feel the time was running out on their Cinderella season. As the second half began, however, it was a more aggressive Portland team that took the floor.
Drexler's going to drive, and he goes. Leaves it for Buck Williams. Puts it up off the window and down. Stop, shoots for three. Yes! Terry Porter for three. Back it out. Pass inside. Buck Williams up and in. What a pass.
Suddenly, Detroit was reeling and trailing.
Kill him, City. Kill him down there.
As the pressure mounted, both teams struggled tenaciously to gain the advantage.
A three and it's through. A triple by Isaiah. Clyde, baseline drive, and it goes. Reverse layup. What a play.
And as the third quarter drew to a close,
Dennis, get inside him!
neither was giving ground.
Separate. Come on, guys. Move down a little bit, Clyde. Okay, now you move over a little bit, Cliff. Come on, come on, come on, come on.
Portland leading 66-65. Madden tosses the ball in the air, goes out to Terry. Terry for three. Yes!
Portland had the lead and the momentum, but not for long.
Our ball coming in, watch the traffic.
Let's push ourselves right now. Let's push ourselves right now. Let's go.
The resilient Pistons would find a familiar answer.
Vinny along the baseline right. Short jumper, good. Vinny Johnson, 2 straight shots through the hoop to pull the Pistons to within.
Vinny Johnson hits another one, and if he gets cooking, Rick Adelman's got deep problems.
And even as Vinny cooled, the Pistons stayed hot.
Back to Dumars on the right side. Joe into the paint, 15-footer shot, good! Joe Dumars comes up big.
Detroit had gained back the lead, but trouble was on the horizon.
Isaiah gets into Robinson, who picked up the basketball and was flying like a rag doll. Robinson passes to
The Pistons were about to lose the one player they could not afford to be without.
Nose is bleeding. We have had a lot of cuts and bleeds tonight.
It's just a war out there.
Smelling blood, Portland would look for the kill.
Porter looking low to Duckworth. Edwards got his hand in his back. Duckworth turnaround jumper against Edwards. Good! Drexler comes into the paint, stops at the free throw line, spins towards the hoop. Puts it up off the corners. Drexler with the ball. Hook pass low to Kersey.
Portland's up 7. They're going crazy here in the Great Northwest.
Vinny Johnson would make sure that it wasn't.
That's a score to go. That's 22. That's push. That's 6. Go.
With Drexler fouling out, Portland's offense went to the bench with him, while the microwave was just heating up.
The baseline, he puts up a short jumper. Good! Vinny Johnson, the microwave. It's a 2-point lead for Portland.
Big jump ball right here, Fred. This could be the game.
As they had all season long, Detroit would rise to the occasion.
By the Pistons.
Isaiah has it, sideline left. Pistons get a new shot clock. Isaiah behind the foul line for the gun. One time, baby. One time, baby.
The Pistons had drawn even, and now it was up to their defense.
3 seconds to play. Porter into the paint. Passes out of bounds. Intended for Jerome Kersey, and the Pistons want to call a timeout.
With the end of their season-long quest at hand, the Pistons readied themselves for one final test of their championship resolve.
Yeah, we got to take the last shot. Everybody get some heart right now.
Let's go to a 1 seed.
Let's see your X. Anything, you got to get the ball in his hand.
Let's go, X. Go, X.
Who would have thought this when they were 7 down just a couple of moments ago? Credit the microwave.
20 seconds left. 90-90. Game 5 of the finals.
Rodman gets it into Isaiah with 19. Isaiah taking his time, directing traffic. They spread things out along the baseline. Isaiah watching that clock work down with 10. Isaiah's going to go 1-on-1 on Porter.
A little shake and bake.
Right side pass to Vinny Johnson with 3.
DJ against Kersey.
Vinny puts up a 14-footer.
It's unbelievable, George, that shot. What guts? What guts?
It's 92-90. The microwave scores with 0.7 seconds left in the game.
I'm trying to keep my composure, too.
Make sure you set it maybe at an angle like this. Or if he trail me, I can curl.
We can't give up a 3. We'll lose the game. 2 we won't, and we can't foul.
It's last gasp time for the Blazers.
Buck Williams will trigger the ball in.
And remember this, the clock doesn't start until it touches someone's hands.
Buck Williams puts it into Porter.
There it is!
Can't touch this.
The Pistons are winners and still champions of the world. The Pistons repeat.
And the Motor City still reigns supreme in NBA basketball. A miraculous final 2 minutes from the microwave. Vinnie Johnson gives the Pistons their second consecutive NBA crown. Come on, do some more.
Just let it go, man. It felt good. Oh, man, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. They win! And we're champions!
Between this ball head and this ball head, this one is worth more and have a whole lot more in it.
You've got a great team. Congratulations to you, the Pistons in the city of Detroit, and all of these very nice people around there.
I know my pop would have wanted me to stay, fight it out, be tough about it, and that's what I did.
Hammer time. One of the responsibilities the 12th man has is to take care of the wives.
Guys really deserve a great chance. Hey, Jack.
Yeah, John.
Touchdown.
Can't touch this.
Yo.
You can't touch this.
Break it down. How'd I do?
When I hit that winning shot, that was definitely for the Motor City, Detroit.
Hammer time. You can't touch this.
He's one of the classiest quality individuals that I know, and I'm proud and honored that he's my friend, Isaiah Thomas.
Hammer time. My music hits me so hard, makes me say, oh my Lord.
Indiana, New York, Chicago, Portland, can't touch this.
I'm known as such, and this is a beat you can't touch. I told you, homeboy, you can't touch this. Yeah, that's how we living, and you know you can't touch this. Look in my eyes.
All right, way to go, man. What's it? He moves it every time.
Hey, that's a good one for the tape.
You can't touch this. You can't touch this.